Welcome to episode 91 of the Daniel Yoris podcast, Fitness and Fantasy Football. Let's go. What's going on? Welcome back to the podcast. Quick little mini episode today. Things have been going okay with scheduling around the end of this construction and whatever. It's happening. Things are happening. So all is good with that. Had a quick little last minute cancellation switch, but had everything set up. So I figured might as well just rip out a little quick episode, whatever was kind of on my mind. And that's how we get to fantasy football and fitness. Now, this episode, I apologize, is not going to be relevant to most people. If you don't understand fantasy football, I'm not here to teach you about that. And this is just going to be a little niche thing that was, coming off the top of my head for this little quick thing. Also trying to bump up to complete up to 100 episodes by the end of the year. So I actually didn't even do the math, but we're pretty much on track. But if I can get out a couple extra little ones, then we'll get there. For no other reason than just hitting that 100 episode mark. Now, like I said, if you don't understand fantasy football, you probably didn't even click on this podcast to listen to. But if you did and you don't understand it or know what it is at all, I'm not going to waste time trying to explain what it is. If you don't understand it, probably you're just not going to really get the references here. But what I'm going to attempt to do is make some connections between the way that we as people who play and obsess over fantasy football conduct ourselves versus the way that things happen in fitness. And if you don't get the references, then again, I apologize. But if you do, then I think this might really stick something for you. The first thing, there's going to be people on here and just on the internet in general who are these hardcore, success, productivity, like internet guru, make all this money. And they're all about, or one of their major things is don't watch sports. Sports is for kids. Don't waste your Sundays playing fantasy football. Like, relax, dude. Relax. You can do everything. You can make lots of money. You can have lots of impact. You can do all the things, and you can watch sports and do things that you like. It's okay. It's possible to do. I'm not super rich and not super successful, but just relax to those people. Now, I'm just going to go right into this and try and rip off some things that I kind of just thought of because this weekend was a rough one. I'm recording this on a Monday. I was obsessing over my team all week, trying to make a couple deals, and it didn't really work out. And my team is doing well this year, but I didn't win this week, and it was just kind of a little bit unlucky. And so it was just kind of on my brain and thought, okay, what can I rip out in 15, 20 minutes? And here we are. So that's how we came about. And the first thing is this. So we start from the beginning of the draft. However you do your draft, whether you do a snake draft, my league, we do an auction draft, which I think is the best way to do it. But either way, you get to build your team and give yourself the best chance of success. And as we relate to fitness, you want to always try and give yourself the best chance of success. Fantasy football, one quote related to it is that it's a weekly game. The team that you draft in before the season is not going to be the team that you finish up the playoffs with, if you even make it to the playoffs. And you need to try and win every single week. So every single week, you need to make moves, adds, drops, trades, decisions on your lineup as to what's going to give you the best chance of success. Fitness is the same. Yes, fitness lasts from now until forever. And it's always going to be relevant, and it's always going to be something that is happening and kind of consuming us. But each day, each week, each month, you need to give yourself the best chance of success. If doing something today is going to push you a little bit forward, then do that thing. Not necessarily at the expense, don't injure yourself and don't be crazy. And okay, if I work out super hard today, then I don't have to worry about it next week. No, worry about right now. Sometimes we think too much into the future. And we worry about our recovery down the line. Or if I do this workout, then what's going to happen next week? And we play all these scenarios out in our head, thinking about what's going to happen later, that we forget to take care of what's happening right now. Same thing with fantasy football. You think about your lineup, 6 weeks down the road. Oh, this guy's on bye. This guy's, has this matchup, this, that, and the other thing. And little do you know, you forgot to actually set a decent lineup for this week, and you get creamed. And what happens 6 weeks from now doesn't really matter because your team sucks so bad anyways. So same thing here. Don't think about your fitness and so what you're going to do 3 months from now all the time. You should have an outlook for how things are going to progress, but that shouldn't be consuming every decision that you make. Think about what you can do now and control what you can control now, and then execute on that. Here's another good one. Injury. In football, there's injuries all the time. Every single week, every Monday morning, basically everyone's on the injury report because it's a violent and rough sport, and that's just part of it. Now, what happens when one of your guys goes down with an injury, whether he's just, questionable week to week, out for this week or on the IR or either way, You get upset, you get a little bit pissed off, why did that happen? Why, of course, always me. Of course, my guys always get injured. Of course, I just picked up this guy or I just traded for this guy and now he's injured. Why me? Why me? But then you get over it and you make a change and you keep going. You put that guy in IR, try and trade him to another team. You pick up another guy. You try and make the best of the situation. Again, same thing with fitness. You get a little injury. You're in the gym. You go for a run. You get a little nick on your knee. Something happens. You can either, you get pissed off. I get very angry when I get injured as well. But that doesn't mean you just give up and you don't blow up the whole week or the whole rest of your fitness plan. You kind of work around what you can work around. So, okay, my knees hurt. I can't squat. I can't, do these things. And don't take that. You know that I've said many times, if your knee is hurting, the best thing to do is not to stop moving, all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But say lower body workouts are out of the equation for today and for this week. Great. Extra chance to work on your upper body. Maybe a little bit extra chance to work on mobility. Beef up those other sides or those other points of your fitness while you can and make the best of the current situation. Just because one of your players goes down, it doesn't mean you just give up the whole week and don't start any running backs or just stop playing altogether and just default to come in last place or something like that. No, you get upset. That's okay. And then you make the best of the situation. So you get a little injury, you get a little setback, you make the best of the situation and you keep moving forward. Another one, bye weeks. Bye weeks come up. Of course, every team has one bye in the NFL. And sometimes, or not sometimes, once per season, your top players are going to have a bye week. So if you have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, whoever, and they're on a bye week, that's a big hit to your team, a top player in the league, not playing. So what do? Sometimes you try and make a deal, try and trade if you can. If not, the answer is never, I'm just going to leave that roster spot open and, whatever, I'll just sacrifice. That's not the move. What you'll do 9 times out of 10, you'll try and make a better deal. But if you can't make a better deal to put a better player in that roster spot, you'll give one of those, all right, fuck it, I'll just pick up this random receiver off the waiver wire and I'll start it because at least something is better than nothing. Maybe he makes a catch. Maybe he gets like a random garbage time touchdown. Something is better than nothing. Again, with the fitness, going back into it, something is typically better than nothing. You have an off week. You're having a week where you're a little bit tired, maybe a little bit unmotivated, or something happened in your week that's kind of just making you a little bit upset, and you think, I don't really have it in me today to go push in the gym. I don't really have it in me to go give my 100% best self effort in the gym today. Instead of, all right, fine, I'll just stay home and eat chips on the couch. No, the answer should be go to the gym and do what you can. That shouldn't be the case all the time because bye week happens 1 week. It doesn't keep happening. Bye week happens 1 week and then you're right back in the saddle. So same thing with your fitness. You have a week. Sometimes you're going to need a bye week in your fitness, and that's okay. You take a week off, you rest, you recover, you do what you can, but you don't do nothing. You still go for walks, you still stretch, you still work on your mobility, you work on your upper body or your lower body, whatever the thing is that you can do that week, you do that. Doing the nothing is almost never the answer. Here's another one. This comes into more taking action and making decisions. In football, sometimes I think the best scenario with this would be like a defense. Say your defense is on a bye, or you need to pick up a defense off the wire. And so there's 2 defenses that have like decent matchups that are available on the wire. You are sitting there thinking about, should I pick up this defense or this defense? Oh, they have this matchup. This guy's injured. He's playing against this wide receiver on the other team, this cornerback matchup, whatever it is. And from all that debate, someone else just swoops in, picks up the defense, picks up one of them, and you're just stuck with the other one, which is not the way that you were leading. And that's just how it always happens. This is indecisiveness. I don't know if indecisiveness is actually a word, but sometimes we get this paralysis by analysis. Maybe that's a better way to describe it. You can endlessly debate over which defense start is going to be the best. You can endlessly debate over which workout is going to be the best. Should I do this? Should I do 8 reps? Should I do 12 reps? Should I lift 50 pounds or 55 pounds? And like these minute things that in the grand scheme of things don't make a difference, and you leave gains on the table. Now, someone's not going to come eat your lunch in the gym. Like someone will come eat your lunch by picking up a player that you want off the wire, obviously, but you're still losing out by not being decisive enough. So sometimes the best course of action is, instead of endless debate over minutia, make a decision, and just roll with it. You can change from there. You don't have to stick with that for forever. This is a thing I think that we get stuck up on a lot. If you start a workout program or start doing an exercise or start some type of nutrition protocol, yes, you should stick it out and see through it and make sure that, you've actually done the things that you wanted to do and all that. But sometimes when it's not working or when it was the wrong decision, and you are allowed to make that change. You don't have to stick through anything. When you pick up a player off the wire, you don't have to. You can pick up that player and then 5 minutes later drop them, make a decision, pick up another player. You can do the same thing with fitness. You shouldn't go flip-flop back and forth with your fitness all the time, but don't forget that you can change what you're doing. Just because you decided to do something, if it's really not working, if it's truly not working, and you've really given it a strong effort, you can change, and that's okay. So don't get too caught up in debating over what the best way to do XYZ is. Sometimes just pick one of them, pick the one that sounds the best to you, and then just run with it, and you can change and make progress and adapt to the situation as it comes. Speaking of analyzing, people analyze their fantasy team's performance to the nth degree. My receivers are playing well, my running backs are not doing well, I need to beef up this part of my roster, I have space to trade guys on this part of my roster, whatever. I'm looking at weeks down the line and matchups and all these things. But we don't analyze our fitness. How can we take such a, how can we take a microscope to something as silly, as fun, but as silly as fantasy football? But when we talk about, well, what are the foods that you've eaten today? How many steps have you taken today? How many hours of sleep did you get last night? How many hours of sleep did you get all of last week? What did you have for dinner last night? These simple things that we can't even remember them. We need to take this analytical approach to our fitness as well. It doesn't need to consume your life, but if you are going to be analyzing your fantasy football team and thinking about your performance, what's working, what's not working, then look at your fitness as well. All right, I've been doing this workout for X weeks. I haven't got any stronger. I'm truly pushing myself hard. My sleep is good. My nutrition is good. My recovery is good. My steps have been good. Why am I not making progress? Maybe it's the program. Okay, great. Change the program. Or I've been on this program. My strength's not going up. My body's not changing. What's the issue? Okay, I've been sleeping really good. I've been good about getting my steps. I've been good about stress management and these things, but I keep having, a couple cookies at night. All right, maybe I got to clean that up. Maybe that's the thing that's wrong. And you've got to take that and you just go look at what you're doing and analyze your actions, because very often what we think we're doing is not what we're actually doing. Just because you are trying to be in a diet or trying to be in a strength building phase or a muscle building phase or a fat loss phase, just because that's what you say that you're doing doesn't mean that's what's actually happening. What's actually happening is what's actually happening, and there's no way to go around that. And now that might sound silly, but very often we think, or I hear people say, well, I'm doing this thing, I should be getting stronger. It's well, are you getting stronger? No. Well, okay, then it's not working, right? We see this also just in the gym and people who are, I posted something about this today. It's people who make these grunty faces and really swing around weights and make they make these scrunchy faces, they're really working hard, they're really grinding it through. But you watch their lifts and it's they're doing quarter rep everything, even for a bicep curl, and they're not lifting very heavy. And it's okay, hold on a second. Just because you're making that face and making those noises doesn't mean that you're actually doing the thing that you think you're doing. Now, when you work out hard, you're going to make those faces and make noises and all that stuff, but your workout is not effective because of the faces and the noises. Your workout is effective because it's effective, and the faces and the noises are just a side effect of that. So this is just kind of a little disconnect thing. So you need to analyze what you're actually doing and then see what's working, continue that. If something's not working, change that or improve it, or just accept that that's what's going to happen. Sometimes, especially getting into the holiday season now, fat loss is probably, for most people, not really a good time to be chasing that, because Thanksgiving is coming up for my American friends. Thanksgiving just passed here in Canada, but Christmas and holiday parties are all coming up, and it's going to be a lot. Everyone trying to recoup all the lost years of COVID and all that stuff. So with all that coming up, is now really a good time to be losing weight? Is now really a good time to be going to all these parties and social events and functions and not eating or being worried about your food or having to adjust so much of your food in the rest of the day or the rest of the week, or over exercise, get way more steps than you would be able to otherwise, and sacrifice other things, time and time spent with loved ones and all these things. Is it a good time? If not, then that's okay. You don't always have to be chasing fat loss. So what can you do right now? All right, maybe you can build strength. Maybe you can work on your mobility. Maybe you can just work at maintenance. And your goal for the holiday season is not to lose weight through the holidays. Your goal is to not gain any weight. And that is a very, very good goal. Most people gain 5 to 7 pounds through the holiday season, and then they never lose it. It's not like this constant weight gain through the whole year. It's year over year. People gain a couple pounds around this time of year, and then they never lose it. And then, 20 years down the road, you look back, oh my gosh, how did I gain 40 pounds over the last 20 years? Well, you didn't gain 40 pounds all at once. You just gained 2 pounds every Christmas and never lost it throughout the rest of the year. And that's how it goes. So went down a little bit of a rabbit hole there, but the point is this: analyze what you're doing, discard what is useless, double down on what's useful, and then make the best plan that you can. I kind of just talked about this one, but the next point I was going to make was about making concessions, because everything can't be perfect. So the analogy, I guess I'll just kind of go back on what I was saying, but the analogy here into fantasy is that depending on your roster construction, sometimes you'll have an abundance of players at one position. Say you've got great running backs, but your receivers kind of suck. It's like, okay, well, if my running backs are this good and I'm expecting this many points from them per week, then my receivers are kind of sucky, but it's okay because I'm going to be all right. My receivers are great, or my running backs are great. Maybe my quarterback is great. My tight end is pretty good. I've got a good defense start this week. My wide receivers kind of suck. My top receiver is on bye. And it's like, all right, that's okay. Everything is not going to be perfect, but as long as you set yourself up for the best chance of success and you're good on 80% of the things, that sort of 80-20 rule, then you're going to be okay. So with fitness, the same thing. Maybe right now during the holidays, fat loss, not the best thing to be chasing, but strength gain, maybe muscle mass during the holidays when they're having abundance of food. Yeah, that's hell yeah. This is the time. This is not really where the whole bulking cutting thing came from in bodybuilding. It's more off season and related to the shows, but use that. If you know that you're going to be eating food and you really want to be putting on muscle, now's the time. So along with analyzing, understand where the concessions are that you're going to have to make. Your receivers aren't great. Okay, fine. I'll sacrifice my receivers this week because my running backs are really good. In fitness, maybe, your cardio is going down because you're chasing hypertrophy. If that's okay to you, then that's okay. There's going to be some sacrifices. You can't chase pure hypertrophy or pure strength. There's a reason why, the big strong men don't run marathons, because they sacrifice their ability to run for long distances for the ability to deadlift ridiculous amounts of weight. So understand where those concessions are and make them with your eyes open. Don't just let them happen. Make concessions on your own terms. Here's another one. Great matchups and the healthy lineup, but your team underperforms. Everything's going good. All your guys are off bye. Nobody's injured. Good defensive matchups. Everything's looking good. And Aaron Rodgers throws 3 interceptions. Not that I'm sour about that, but Aaron Rodgers throws three interceptions. Your team loses. You were supposed to have a great week. You were supposed to have a great week, and just didn't happen. All right. Not every day is your best day. It happens. You were supposed to hit a PR today in the gym. Everything was good. You slept good. You had good energy going in the gym. You had a good meal. You've been on point with your training. PR doesn't come. You miss. Okay. Get back up and keep going. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Not every day is going to be your best day. And accepting that, as we do in fantasy football, and Rodgers threw 3 touchdowns, or 3 interceptions. I didn't have a great week in football. My team wasn't that bad, but wasn't as good as it could have been or should have been. So what do I do about that? Do I just sulk and give up and, drop everybody off my team and say, oh, fuck this fantasy football thing? I will definitely say that many times, but will I actually do it? No. Just get back up and you keep going and make your best chance to win again next week. Same thing in the gym. You missed your PR. Your training has been good. Your sleep has been good. Everything's been good. You get into the gym, just not your day. It's okay. Not every day is going to be your best day. And this is just a part of accepting the natural process of how this goes. Along that same line, what if it is your fault? You have a decision to make between 2 players. 2 running backs who are equal. They're not starting running backs, but they're equal. You just make a decision. You choose player 1 over player 2. Player 2 sits on your bench. Player 2 drops 30 points. Player 1 drops 5 points, or goose egg. Sometimes you make mistakes. Shit happens. Sometimes you load the bar wrong. Sometimes you do something wrong. You do a wrong movement in the gym. You injure yourself a little bit. Sometimes you mess up your diet. You miscounted all your calories. You didn't have as much willpower as you thought you had at that holiday party, and you have 3 slices of pizza instead of what you intended was 1 slice of pizza. Okay. Sometimes you make mistakes. Get up and keep going. Sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes things just don't work out the way that they should, even though you did your best effort, or you made your best effort to give yourself the best chance of success. It's just how it goes. It sucks. It's not fun. No one likes when that happens. But your options are be a crybaby and get upset and throw a tantrum about it, or learn from it, dust yourself off, and keep going. You can still throw a little bit of a tantrum. That's okay, but don't let it keep going. You have to end that tantrum, not like a 2-year-old. You got to end that tantrum and then keep going forward, because that's all you can do. Fantasy football it ends. There is an end to it every season. But if you want to think about it on a bigger scale, it doesn't end, because there's always next season. I've definitely said that fitness doesn't end. This is a now until forever thing. This is not now and for the next 6 weeks or for the next 13 weeks of your football league plus playoffs. You grind all the way through the league and you don't win. And even if you're out of playoff contention, you still keep grinding. You still keep trying to put your best foot forward every week. 1, for integrity of the league, for the sake of your league mates. And 2, because nobody wants to be wearing a bee costume or whatever your league punishment is, which I had to do last year. You only fail if you give up. If you just come in last place, you gave your best effort, you come in last place and you say, I'm not playing fantasy football anymore, forget it. Then you failed at fantasy football, which, in the grand scheme of your life, obviously, that doesn't matter, whatever. But what if all these things happens with fitness? You gave your best, you made the best decision. You gave yourself the best chance of success. You adjusted your lineup as you could. You analyzed everything that was going on. You adjusted your fitness based on injuries and based on life circumstance. You made goals. You made concessions and understood those concessions. Made the best plan, stuck with it, were consistent. All the things, doesn't work out. And you give up. And you sit on the couch, eat potato chips, and you're 400 pounds. You can't move. You can't keep your job. Things are not going well. Your health is rapidly declining. That's giving up. That's not okay. But even if you're in that situation, you can start again. You can start again as many times as you need, and you'll always have another chance. Because the only way to fail is if you totally give up. And if you don't do that, then it's just another bump in the road. And you can keep moving forward. And you should keep moving forward, because otherwise you're only selling yourself short. It's not really affecting anyone else. It's only you. It might affect the people who, people will be sad, the people who love you and all these things. But really in the day-to-day life, you're only harming yourself. So don't give up. Things are not always going to go as planned, but as long as you don't give up, you can keep going. You get another fresh set of downs every time you want to start, and you always have an opportunity to make it happen. So make it happen. I think I'll cut it off there. That was pretty much all the analogies that I had. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you, if you like fantasy football, then maybe you listened all the way through. If not, you probably didn't listen. If there are other random things that are not fitness that you want to see me try and connect to fitness and make some analogies, send them my way. Try and make it something that you think that I might know something about. Don't ask me something about I don't know, art or something. I don't know, whatever. Something I don't know anything about. But yeah, just a little fun one. So that's that. If you like this, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, all the places. If you're interested in coaching and you want me to help walk you through all of these things, not coaching your fantasy football team, that would not be a good look for you. But fitness coaching, I can definitely help you there. DanielYoris.com/coaching. Let's work together. Let's get it going, even right through the holidays. I actually said I don't want to accept any new clients in January for online coaching, and I'm very serious about that because I want people like yourself who are action takers. If you're ready to take action, you're ready to make a difference, then now's the time. January is going to come and, whatever. January is always going to come. There's always a fresh start. If you want to make a change, now's the time to start. We hit the ground running in January instead of just getting things rolling in January. So if that's you, danielyoris.com/coaching. Links in the description for this. Follow me on Instagram. Send me any questions, comments, concerns about anything fitness related or suggestions for the podcast at Daniel Yoris on Twitter as well. And that's it. Good luck in the rest of your fantasy football season. Go outside, hit the gym, take your shoes off, and be a good person.